and welcome to
Bell on Earth.
My name is Cassidy.
My name is Casey.
And together we are the Bell Sisters. Join us each week as we corrupt your soul,
And bring you to salvation.
discussing life, death, and everything in between.
Are you afraid of getting into heaven?
Ding dong, motherfuckers. And welcome to Bell on Earth.
The podcast.
The podcast. My name is Cassidy.
My name's Casey.
And we're your host for this little talk show.
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah.
We already said it's a podcast, so
I know.
not sure we had to reiterate that we're going to be talking on it, but
I know, I kind of like lost track of my thoughts, and then I was like, oh wait, what was I saying?
I like that like our job is to talk and we're like really bad at it.
Yeah, and we literally hired ourselves.
I know, we have an LLC. Like, Bell on Earth is an official company. Mm-hmm. So we're legitimately hired by ourselves, and we're bad at our own job.
We didn't even check our own resume.
No, we didn't even write a resume. No cover letter.
Not
We just
one.
raw dogged this.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You're so welcome.
Anyway.
So today's episode, we're kind of just gonna like generally talk about fandoms and like fan culture. Do we even have to explain why? There's like so much to fucking talk about and so much drama. We both have been involved in fandoms in the past.
Yes.
In our lore. Bell on Earth lore you're gonna learn today.
Yes. We definitely have some interesting lore when it comes to fandoms.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to talk about, like, just the drama, the cancel culture of it all. I thought it would be really funty.
Oh, it'll be fun too.
It sure will. Do you want to start us off?
I guess so. So, for me, my biggest fandom experience was I was a massive Directioner, which, to anyone who doesn't know, if you're uneducated, that's a One Direction fan when they were still together. R.I.P. One Direction.
R.I.P., right?
R.I.P. One Direction. Honestly, okay. But, like, in terms of a lot of, like, the boy bands and, like, the, like, tween music that was around at that time, like, they were some of the better ones.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Like, come on. And, like, not for nothing, but, like, I didn't know them personally, obviously, even though it felt like it. But
Parasocial relationship of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, they didn't really have any controversy. They didn't have scandals. Like, the, like, biggest scandal was, like, Harry dating Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and then having a song written about him.
Yeah, which, like, I mean, you have to expect that.
Yeah, exactly.
No shade to Taylor. But, like,
A
she
little
needs the
shade.
content.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, I don't want to say anything because Swifties are honestly some of the people that scare me the most.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know, I don't personally care that much about Taylor Swift, but I also, like, don't really love her.
Okay, honestly, this is a great topic to fucking start with because what bothers me, you know what? No, I'm not afraid of the Swifties.
I'm so afraid of them.
Come after me, okay? The problem that I have with a lot of Swifties right now is that they're all, like, in their, like, 20s and 30s.
And, like, even, they're all, like, in their, like, late 30s.
Yeah, no, this is true. This is very true. It's, like, mainly, like, a millennial vibe.
And, like, we don't say that as, like, you
can't
can't
be
be
a
a
fan.
fan if you're, like, older or whatever. It's more like being a hyper fan is weird when you're, like, not 14.
It's like the equivalent to being a Disney adult.
Yes. If not worse.
If not worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, again, you can be a fan of her music, that's totally fine. But when you're, like, involved in her fucking life, Like, it's creepy.
Yeah, it is.
And again, like, when I was 14, like, yes, I, like, followed all those fucking fan pages that stalked the guys. I think my favorite lore story was we went on a family vacation to Ireland.
Oh my god.
And if you guys don't know, Niall is Irish. And so, of course, I made it a point to stop in his hometown because we did, like, a cross-country type trip.
It was actually one of the better towns that we went into.
For real, though.
Really nice.
Mullingar was honestly like a place to fucking go back to. It was
Shout
really
out
cute.
Mullingar.
Shout out Mullingar.
I had some like the best food there. We had this like
Yes.
really, really good dinner the first night, and then the second day, our Airbnb host, or I don't know if it was Airbnb, but it was like B&B.
It was before Airbnb. It was like
Yeah,
actual
it was, like,
bed and
small, like-
bed and breakfast.
Yeah, and she like made these delicious like little like lemon crepes or whatever, and
Yeah.
like they were so good.
Yeah, because like the places we stayed at were again like literally a bed and breakfast where they
It was basically
just had
home who
it
had
was
extra rooms.
Yeah, they just had like bedrooms that you rented out and you would stay in the bedroom. Usually it was on a farm. They would grow
Yeah.
their own stuff. They'd have their own farm animals, so like all of like the goat milk and stuff was all fresh, and
Yeah.
they'd cook you breakfast and you just talked. It was nice. It was
Yeah.
really nice.
It definitely was more of like a hotelish vibe than like a traditional, like what we think of now as like an Airbnb. But it was still people who would like live in one of the rooms and stuff like that. And yeah, like there was a lot of farms and it was really cute. But that one was really, really nice. That lady was super nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we like drove to like the supermarket.
Okay, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Oh my god, okay.
So, don't ask me how the fuck I even knew this, because I still don't know how I figured this out. But anyway, I figured out where Niall's dad worked.
Oh my god.
And so I wrote Niall a letter. Well, I guess like all of the guys, but like specifically Niall because he's giving it to his dad. So like I wrote his dad a letter, and we went to, cause okay, his dad was like working in the like deli section of a supermarket. Like not even anything fucking crazy. Like again, I don't know how the fuck I figured this out, but we went to the supermarket, went to the deli section. I asked for him and they were like, "Oh yeah, he like just left. His shift had like just finished." And so I left the letter with them for when he came back.
Not for nothing though, there was literally only one supermarket in this town, so it wasn't.
This is
like,
true.
It wasn't like that hard to find. It's obviously like the fact that you found out he worked at the supermarket in general is one thing.
Yeah.
But like once you like find that out, it's like, well, there's only one place here. It was a
Yeah.
very small town, and like so many people asked us why we were there.
Yeah.
And we were literally like, Niall.
And I was like, Niall and Bobby.
And they'd be like, oh, we all know that.
Right. But I'm sorry. It kind of did make me laugh for them to ask, because like
Yeah.
this young child, what fucking else, like what other reason am I gonna be here?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that was
they
the height of
asked-
their fame.
True. But they did ask if we had, like, relatives there and stuff.
This is true. Our last name is Irish,
Yeah.
so there's that at least.
There's that. But that was so funny. And, like...
At the time of my life.
Oh my god, oh my god, I keep saying it, but the B&B host was so, like, weirded out by you, too, and that was so
As they
funny.
should be. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
They were just like, oh, like... Yeah, because they were talking about, like, Niall and stuff, and she was like, oh, yeah, the father works at the supermarket, and Casey'd be like, oh, yeah, Bobby, like, I know he works in the meat department.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, yeah, he does, I guess so.
Oh my god. It is kind of wild, the shit that fans will find out. Like,
Yeah.
hardcore fans.
I, like, found out, I think it was, like, I literally just Googled his name, but I found, if anyone knows, like, the band MGMT, they did Electric Feel and Kids and all that,
Ooh, girl,
yeah,
shock me like an electric eel.
well, you really sound like them.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do.
Yeah, no.
That is how they
not gonna
sound.
lie. But yeah, the keyboardist, like, the founding member, I found his dad's phone number for his, like, work
Did you call him?
once, yeah.
Did he answer?
No, it's just a voicemail.
Well, did
I
you
don't
leave
think I
him?
left a
Oh.
voicemail. It was like a long time ago. I don't really remember.
You weren't as dedicated, huh?
No. Well, I was like this is weird. Even as a child, I knew
Even
it was
as a
weird.
child.
But I, like, found it, yeah.
Some things are weirdly accessible.
Yeah. Especially in the age of the internet, like,
Yeah.
we probably shouldn't be, like, knowing these people's, like, addresses and names and workplaces, but, you know, here we are.
Yeah. And, I mean, this was also, like, Tumblr era,
Yes.
where a lot of, like, the hardcore stalking went down.
Oh, yeah. I was definitely, like, really on Tumblr for a while, and it was honestly, like, so fun, but also so sketchy at the same exact time.
Absolutely. And I don't think we really realized how sketchy and weird a lot of it was until reflecting back years later.
True. Yeah, I, like, had some weird, like, interactions with people, like, because I was in the, like, indie, like, rock fandom
Yeah.
places, because, like, we would follow, like, MGMT, and then there was Foster the People, Arctic Monkeys, the Kooks, like, all those types of people, Tame Impala, stuff like that. And all those people, like, there was, like, a group for, like, kind of each band. So there was, like, a small, like, Vampire Weekend, like, section, and then there was, like, the Arctic Monkey section, and then there was, like, the Foster the People, and then there was, like, the MGMT. And the MGMT, like, inner circle was, like, this 23-year-old man, and then a bunch of, like, 14-year-olds.
Right.
Who, like, all were, like, obsessed with him because he wouldn't show his face, because he was, like, you know, like, not old, like, he was obviously young, but, like,
But he was older than...
compared to us, he was, like,
Right.
this man just kind of, like, talking to these, like, younger kids about MGMT.
He probably knew that was weird.
Yeah, and so he, like, didn't show his face, and everyone would be like, oh my god, like, what does he look like? We don't know what his face looks like. And it was, like, really weird. And, like, so I guess the stalking sort of shifted to that guy for a little bit, and then it was, like, a whole thing.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it was really weird.
I love that the whole fandom shifted from, like, the actual band that they were a fan of to this random other fan.
Yeah. But it was just because he was so, like, secretive about it.
That's, like, so Tumblr.
I know. And, like, so, yeah, there was, like, I have, like, an inner circle for MGMT. And then for Foster the People, there was just, like, you know, like, bigger accounts and stuff. And there were a couple that had, like, really, like, extreme, like, fan fictions and stuff like that.
Yes.
But they were pretty good. Like, these people were really talented. It was just kind of like, you're 15.
Dude, the amount of, like, One Direction smut that I'd read.
Yeah.
Deplorable.
Yeah.
Fucking deplorable.
It was constant.
It was, and, like, it was everywhere, obviously.
What I found so funny, particularly about Foster the People fan fiction, was that it was almost always about Mark Ponzi, which is, like, the drummer.
Interesting.
And, like, people liked everyone in the band, but, like, I rarely saw... Well, no, that's true. Not true. People really liked Mark Foster, who, of course, is the lead singer.
Right. He's fostering the people.
He really was. But, yeah, people liked him, and then the drummer, Ponzi. And then everyone else was kind of almost, like, background characters for a lot of people. But I really liked, like... Isom Innis was a part of Foster the People. He was also in 303 back in the day. And he's really good, and I always really liked him. And then there was Sean Samina, also known as Mago. If you're a true fan, you'll get it.
Yeah.
But he was really great, and then Cubby was the bassist. And people didn't really care that much about Cubby, I think mainly because he was married.
You know what?
Like hyper Christian.
Oh, okay. Well, that adds to it.
Yeah, it was weird.
So I was gonna say, like, the relationships never stopped, like, the One Direction fans. Although, I guess to be fair, there was just, like, girlfriend, boyfriend type drama. It wasn't like they were married.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he was married, I think, before he even joined the band. And also, like, he wasn't, like, a, like, teen pop sensation. He was, like, a bassist.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just there.
He was great, though. Like, I thought he was really talented. But, yeah, like, there was a lot of fan fiction about the drummer and then, like, Mark Foster and stuff. And it was really weird. But it was, like, really interesting. And there would always be like these like top people that everyone knew and followed. And then for a little while, like my friend and I were like sort of in that like inner circle space, and like everyone knew who we were, which was interesting. But like I don't know, it was just kind of weird.
Pop culture icons.
I know, for real. At least like in this like weird like inner like fandom space. And then at one point we created Andrew Van Weingarten and Ben Goldwasser official Tumblrs, and we like would just pretend to be them.
Yeah.
And then people would get angry because they're like, show your face, and like we're like, nah.
You're like, Google it.
Yeah, like literally. And then from there, other people started making other accounts of like other people in the band, but then also like people in the Strokes, people in actually I think it was just MGMT and the Strokes that people were making official accounts for. And then we would, like, talk to each other and, like, have fights and stuff. Yeah. And people would think it was, like, a real fight between Andrew Van Weingarten and, like, Julian Casablancas from the Strokes.
God, I fucking miss Tumblr so much.
It was so good. It was so funny. And then at some point we did, like, a face reveal, and we just had, like, these little cardboard cutout doodles. And everyone was like, oh, so this is a fake page. And then...
And you're like, gotcha.
Yeah, and then everyone got mad and, like, unfollowed us.
I mean, like, your reign lasted for a while.
It was fun. It was really funny. Also, like, really? Obviously, they're not going to have, like, their Tumblr name be Andrew Van Weingarten Official.
I don't know. There are some artists that do.
And not them, though. Like, specifically, like, if you were a fan of MGMT, you would have known.
Know better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting. Oh,
That's
Tumblr.
Funny. I know. I remember because I switched from, like, I never fully grew out of my One Direction phase because I don't think one really can.
True.
But I definitely shifted from, like, One Direction in middle school, and then, like, end of middle school into high school, I shifted more into, like, the, like, emo and, like, punk rock and stuff like that bands.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite was Of Mice and Men. I loved Of Mice and Men. And then at that point, you know, I was still on Tumblr, and I had my band's Tumblr account, and one of, like, the greatest moments of my life was, well, first of all, I went through this phase where I was, like, I learned how to use, like, Photoshop or something to make GIFs, and so I would make these GIFs of, like, concerts and, like, quotes from, like, the bands that I liked and whatever, and some of them would do pretty well, but then one of them, if anyone knows the band Tonight Alive, the lead vocalist, or I guess the vocalist, Jenna McDougall, she had this really, like, there's this quote that I really loved from her from one of, like, I think it was, like, one of the Warped shows, and I had made a whole, like, GIF set of it and posted it, and then she reposted it.
Whoa.
And I haven't been on in a while. I don't even know if my Tumblr is still around, but, like, the last time I'd logged on, it was still getting reposted.
Wow.
And I was like, shout out Jenna.
That's crazy.
I know, it was like the greatest thing, because I, like, really loved her too.
Yeah.
Like, I really loved Tonight Alive, but, like, especially her, I don't know, she was, like, one of the really cool, because, you know, especially then, like, it was a fairly male-dominated genre, like, regardless, it's, like, very masculine in general.
Yeah.
And she was one of the, like, only, like, females in that space, and I really looked up to her. It's like her and, like, Hayley Williams, who were two of my biggest inspirations. Obviously, Hayley has always been my inspiration. I have a fucking Paramore tattoo, so there's that. But yeah, I really looked up to her, so that, like, meant a lot to me. But even, like, going with that, it's kind of crazy, like, what it made me feel to have one of my, like, idols,
like, repost,
like, notice something that I made and repost it.
Yeah, and it is really crazy, like, but then again, like, that's what we're saying is, like, as a young person, like, this is someone that is really inspiring, someone you really look up to, and, like, of course, that's, like, something that's really, really cool when you have people do that. I also think that, like, during that time, like, the early, like, 2010s and stuff, like, it was a lot easier to not necessarily have, like, this weird parasocial relationship that we have with, like, influencers and celebrities now. We actually had, like, not genuine relationships, but like genuine interactions with
Yeah.
people online. Like you could like literally tweet at Rihanna and she'd like
like
go
it at
ballistic,
least. Right.
at you in the like subtweets and stuff.
I miss that.
I know, like I remember I had a friend who like had like a whole like fight with like Red Foo from LMFAO. Yeah. And like
That's a claim to fame.
yeah,
Iconic.
it was like a whole thing, and then like
Not Red Foo.
I know, it was like so crazy, and then like you could like tweet at like all these people, and they'd like actually respond and stuff like that.
Yes.
Or like I remember when 21 Pilots was still starting and or just beginning, right? I like had messaged them because they messaged me because it was like when they first made their Tumblr, and I think they just like randomly messaged a bunch of people
Just to promote it.
Yeah.
I mean, they would do that all the time.
Yeah, like they
bands.
sent like a video or something, and so I like clicked on their page, and I was like, oh, like hey, I just want to send a message back, like you guys are really good, I hope like you make it and stuff, and then they were like, oh, like thank you so much for the support.
Wow.
That was like our interaction.
They
but it was
read
still,
that
like,
message and they're like, we're gonna make it.
Yeah, I really blessed them.
Yeah.
You're welcome, 21 Pilots.
You should like get royalties from that.
Right? I should. I basically am their manager.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. But it was like, that's one of my favorite stories from Tumblr is like, we had this like little tiny interaction, but it was still kind of like cool because it was like right before they got really famous, and like, I don't know.
But that like kind of explains the Tumblr sphere fairly well. Where like, again, like we're saying, like you could honestly like interact with a lot of your favorite bands, and like, sure, you weren't like always like their fucking best friend or anything, but it was a lot easier to have that kind of access to them. Like even I won't like name names because it's kind of weird, honestly, but like one of my favorite bands, one of them had left the band, and because he like there was like stuff going on in his life, and his girlfriend had actually, I think this was on Twitter maybe, and I had like DM'd her. Literally his like random band member, I'd like DM'd his girlfriend being like, hey, like I don't want to be, I was also like 14 at the time, again, mind you, but I like DM'd her like being like, I don't like want to be weird or anything, but I hope everything's okay, like just want you to know, like thinking about you guys. And like she like messaged me back, and we were like mutuals for a while, and she like we would talk.
Damn.
And it was literally like one of my fucking idol's girlfriends.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And granted, like it was nothing weird, and I don't think she knew that I was that young. And again, it was nothing like creepy or whatever, but thinking back about it, I'm like, that's not really something that happens anymore.
No, now it's all like weird. And like of course back then it's not like there weren't like stalker people. And,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
There definitely was like a lot of like toxic fan culture back then. But I think that it's like gotten worse now only because like not only is it just for celebrities, but it's also now just for like normal people on the internet.
Yes.
And it's very strange.
Well, now, I'm sorry, but like anyone can be an influencer. Anyone
Like
can be a
us.
celebrity, literally. But literally, you know, and people will go out of their way to like cancel others with like the rise of cancel culture, and like a lot of like toxicity has emerged because of that. And I think it began in a okay light, but it has certainly progressed to something that is far bigger than any of us need to experience.
Exactly. And I think that's where like it sort of shifted from like a more like appreciative, like
dedicated fan.
Yeah, like more like I just like really am appreciative that I get to have this like interaction with this person, and now it's all like if you don't like do the exact thing that I want you to do, I'm gonna like come to your house and murder you and blah blah blah.
Right.
Blah. And like all these people now, like we were talking about this just before, there's this whole like drama on TikTok right now with, I'm just gonna like say their names because
Do
all
it.
the
I mean, everyone
information's
fucking
public.
knows, yeah.
Yeah, so if you don't know, there's like this whole drama on TikTok with Laura the Mortician and Kitty the Villain Life Coach. So if you don't know who those people are and you're not like on TikTok like that, like I am, there's this account, and she's a pretty decent sized creator, Lauren the Mortician.
Who cares?
And she makes content about like, I don't know, like death and like keeping people safe. Particularly, she'll do videos on, like, children's safety. Like, she talks about, like, cribs and, like, play toys and stuff like that. And number one, she's not necessarily qualified to talk about that stuff. I understand, and I do think that it's, like, great that she wants to promote, like, childhood safety and whatever, but she's not necessarily qualified. And also the other thing is that she's not, like, a mortician. She is, I think she's retired, but even then...
Was she a mortician?
I don't know the exact story. From what I understand, she was just, like, the person who did, like, the makeup.
Oh, I see.
So it wasn't like a medical examiner.
So she was the beautician.
Yeah. I think that's what a mortician is. They just prepare the body. But she wasn't, like, she would talk about it as if she was, like, a medical examiner and stuff like that, which she isn't. And people started calling her out about, like, stuff that she was saying, and she had, like, some misinformation and stuff in her videos, and then also, like, people found out that she was, like, following, like, right-wing accounts, which, like, that's where, for me, it's, like, I understand being angry, but, like, it's also, like, why are you going through people's followers?
And
That's
if she's
so
not the
weird.
one, like, I feel like that kind of stuff is complicated, because, like, if she's not the one fucking spewing all of that bullshit, then, like, is it really your business, like, what her views are?
And, like, people were getting mad because she was liking posts and stuff, and, like, I agree, like, if she was posting stuff onto her page, whatever, but that's not, like, what her content was about, number one, and number two, like, there's no reason that people should... I don't understand how people found this out. Like, you're going through a creator's followers? Like, that's just so weird. Or following, I guess. It's just so weird to me.
And again, especially for someone who, like, just fucking makes their own little videos on TikTok, it's not like they're any, like... They don't really have much of a say in, like, politics or anything.
Yes.
Like, again,
and
at that
also,
point,
like, not what
cares?
they're talking about.
Exactly.
Like, if she was making content about political stuff, then, like, yeah, I disagree with it.
Yeah.
But, like, she wasn't. Now, where I do understand is that people were calling her out for misinformation in her videos. And that's completely fine. Like, it's her content, it's the stuff that she's posting, and other people are saying, like, hey, I don't agree with this. I don't think that what you're saying here is correct. And also, like, you know, we shouldn't be spreading this kind of information online. And that's completely fair. And so basically, like, there's a bunch of pediatricians and stuff who were saying, like, hey, like, I'm not really sure I agree with this content. And then she was making, like, all these videos and, like, crying. And she was like, people are attacking me, blah, 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 blah.
I'm sorry, but, like, when you're crying in your fucking video, like... That just immediately is a red flag to me.
I know. And then she was like, oh, you guys always go after the mothers. And I'm like, yeah, because you guys fucking don't know what the fuck you're doing. And then act like the gift of God of parenting. And it's like, girl.
Those people stress me out.
I know. Like, I'm not a parent, but, like, if you're someone who's a parent, right, like, of course, like, I totally understand that, like, there is, like, a lot of information out there, and it's very overwhelming, and it's very difficult, and you're just trying to make the right decisions for your kids, and everyone has their own fucking opinion, and yada, yada. But also, that's a job. It is a job. It's hard work. And that's a job where you do have to kind of be open to criticism a little bit. Because, like, you should be improving every single day in order to create the best life for your kids. And when you're someone who's on the internet openly posting stuff and then not open to criticism about what you're posting and also about, like, parenting tips and stuff, like, that's so weird. And, like, then don't be on the internet if you can't take criticism, especially from people who are more qualified than you.
Right. Well, like, that's the thing, is that if I was trying to spread, like, helpful knowledge for other parents and someone had corrected me, I would be like, oh my god, thank you. So now that, like, these parents that I'm also trying to fucking educate can know the correct information. Thank you for helping me out with that.
Exactly.
And also, I'm sorry, but if you're so fucking worried about your child, like, set a good example for them.
Exactly. And, like, I don't know why her kids got brought into all of this.
Because she's a victim.
Yeah, literally, for real. Like, she's very... Ugh. But then what happened was, like, all this momentum was picking up about her, like, misinformation and, like, also this, like, other weird stuff that she was following and blah, 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 blah. And then she was also making all these videos defending herself. So then another creator on the platform, Kitty, also known as, like, the villain life coach of TikTok. She makes videos also about, like, safety. She typically makes videos about, like, women's safety and, like, defending yourself from men. And she talks about, like, little things that she does to, like, freak men out, especially when they're being aggressive and, like, trying to catcall her and stuff like that. So that's kind of, like, her thing. And so she was like, hey, I noticed all this, like, stuff, you know, being said about this big creator. I want to put my 2 cents in. I see that she's making content that's literally mimicking mine. And in the way of, like, Kitty does this thing where she drops her voice. She's very monotone. She stares directly at the camera. And she also has something that's known as, like, a Beetlejuice cryptic quota, and basically that means that you have to tag her a certain amount of times in a video, and then once she gets tagged a certain amount of times, she'll stitch that video and add her comments. And she noticed that Lauren the Mortician, prior to Kitty, like, kind of getting any fame, was a lot higher pitched. Like, she would be a lot more bubbly. She'd kind of have, like, her own style, and then she started to, like, drop her voice down an octave. She started to, like, stare at the camera, and she started doing the Beetlejuice cryptic coda. And Kitty was like, hey, like, obviously we're all here to, like, influence each other as well as, like, other people, but, like, this is legitimately the exact same thing that I do, and you're literally just copying me. So then Lauren the Mortician hires a Lauren.
Lauren hires a Laura.
She might as fucking have well done that, because she
It would have gone better.
I know. She hired a fucking lawyer and sent the police to do a wellness check on Kitty because she didn't like that she was, like, posting stuff about her, and also sent her, like, a cease and desist. And, like, none of what Kitty was saying was even untrue or even that bad. Like, she wasn't even talking about the misinformation or anything else that Lauren was saying. She was literally just like, hey, notice that you do this stuff in your videos that I do in my videos.
And, like, the mortician lady, she could have just responded and been like, either, yeah, like, I took inspiration from you, hope that's okay. Or, like, or just not responded, or just been like, oh, like, didn't realize, blah, 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 like, not a big deal, moving on. Exactly. You didn't have to hire a fucking lawyer over this.
It's so dramatic and ridiculous, like, to do that.
And to send the police to her house.
To, like, that's honestly, like, something that, like, blows my mind, like, how you get that far. Because the thing
like, that is what warrants a fucking mental health check.
Yeah, for real. Because the thing is that, like, this lady called in, both her and the lawyer called in a wellness check on Kitty. Kitty posted, so if you want to go check it out, like, you can just look up Kitty on TikTok, but she posted the actual phone call, and what happened was Lauren the Mortician came out, said, like, yes, I did send the police to do a wellness check, and it's because Kitty was posting all this stuff about torture and blood and really, like, morbid stuff, and I was just really concerned for her well-being and blah, blah, blah. And then you listen to the call, and she doesn't mention any of that. She's saying that, like, Kitty's posting, like, blackmail and, like, erratic posts online and stuff like that. And even, like, the dispatcher, like, you listen to the calls, and the dispatcher is like, okay, do you, like, know this person?
Right.
And they're like, no. And they're like, okay, so, like, why are you calling about this? And they're like, we're just really worried about her. Like, this is just not how she normally acts. And then the dispatcher will be like, okay, so you know her. And then they're like, no.
Like, I know her online.
Yeah. And it's so weird. Like, girl, like, get a hold of yourself and, like, grow up.
Well, that's the problem, is that, as we were also talking before, like, I'm sure most people remember the fucking Tati and James Charles drama.
Yes.
But, like, what bothers me about a lot of these situations is that it's always these, like, grown fucking people. And again, like, as we were talking about before, like, when we were big in these fandoms and, like, in the drama and shit, like, we were fucking 14 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, we were young, and it's, like, it is what it is, like, when you're younger, and, like, that's just what you're into, and sometimes, you know, like, you kind of use it as, like, a coping mechanism for other things going on in your life, blah, blah, blah.
It's but, like, an escape.
Yeah. But these people are, like, grown.
Yeah.
Like, Tati's what, in her, like, 30s or 40s?
I think she's, like, in her 40s.
Yeah, like, that's just fucking embarrassing at that point, and, like, you need to get a hold of yourself.
Yeah, and if you don't know, which, honestly, I feel like a lot of people did know about this drama.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, James Charles is a really big, like, makeup artist on YouTube, and there's this irrelevant, weird lady who I guess he was friends with, and at the time he was like 21 and she was like 40.
Yeah.
And she had some sort of like weird, like, I guess wellness line or something.
It was literally, you know, like the Sugar Bear hair gummies. It's like those like hair growth. It has like fucking biotin or some shit in it. Yeah. It's like a little gummy that probably doesn't even fucking work, but she like was selling this gummy. She had her own line, and I guess James Charles had promoted the like Sugar Bear hair one, and she was so upset that she made a fucking video about it and then like called him a pedophile.
It was like an hour long
video. Yeah, it was this long ass video of her like crying and was like, I thought I knew you.
Yeah, and then like, at the end was just like, haha, also he's like a pedophile and like
just have to throw that in there.
Yeah, and it was like he literally wasn't, because what was happening, I guess, was that he was talking to like 19-year-olds, but he was literally like 21. Yeah. And then he like, I guess they were saying he was coming on like kind of aggressive, and then he was also like hitting on straight men and stuff like that, which is like whatever, but it wasn't like a grooming situation in terms of like he was literally a year or two older than these people.
And also, like, I'm honestly not going to go back and research any of this. I do not give a single fucking fuck.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, I think, like, her specific gripe was over, they were at, like, dinner or something, and he was, like, hitting on the waiter. Mm-hmm. Which, how the fuck is that grooming if you're in a fucking public space hitting on a waiter?
Yeah, like, it's uncomfortable, but, like, you can also just say, like, oh, it's, like, he, you know, comes on to people very aggressively. Like, you don't have to fucking sit here and call him, like, horrible names and make, like, all these allegations when that's not, like, what was going on.
That's a serious accusation.
Yeah. Especially for, like, a kid. Like, again, he was literally, like, 20 or 21.
Right.
So he was, like, the same age as these people, and, like, okay, he's coming on aggressively, but also, like, he's literally in, like, that age where, like, that's kind of, like, the norm.
Yeah.
To be honest. Like, I feel like that was kind of just what happens, and, like, these people, like, he wasn't cornering, as far as I know, maybe, like, there's more information out there, but it sounded like he was just, like, you know, like, making flirtatious comments, and then also, like, aggressively, like, texting people and, like, messaging them. And it's like, girl, you can literally just block him.
That's if you don't like it. Like, if it was something in person where he, like, locked you in his fucking room and was trying to, like, force you to, like, make out with him or whatever, like, okay. But
yeah,
I understand the power dynamic, which I even have, like, mixed feelings about that. Because, like, yes, there's, like, the dynamic of, like, he has, like, clout and like money or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, you're also a grown fucking human, and if like you're still pursuing that, then it's kind of on you.
Yeah. Also, like, not for nothing, like, of course you may have seen him from like other stuff or whatever, but like, if you're a straight man, do you really know who James Charles is?
Yeah, I don't think that, like, okay,
I'm like a gay woman and I don't even fucking know who James Charles is. That, like, really?
Right. And also, the other thing is that, like, if you're straight and it's that easy to pressure you into being gay, then you're probably not straight.
Like, sorry,
and now you're just mad that, like, you had this queer experience that, like, maybe you, like, felt weird about it, but, like, that's not James's fault.
Yeah.
That's, like, you and your own repressed fucking sexuality.
Yeah, it's really not, like, his problem. And again, like, I don't really know the full situation. Like, maybe there's stuff we're misremembering or not, like, we weren't, like, caught up on or whatever, because we weren't really in this drama. Like,
and I still don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I don't really care about James Charles, nor am I defending him here, but it was like, just such a ridiculous situation that really, like, encapsulated, like, all of the, like, stupid drama that always goes on in all of these stupid fucking, like, groups.
Yes.
Like, because this was, like, the beauty, like, community that was just, like, turning in on each other, and it's like, girl,
I'm sorry,
like,
first of all, what do you expect?
Community in the first place?
No, but for real. I'm sorry, but, like, not that I was involved with any of it, but I can't imagine that, like, people who do makeup and have, like, followings on YouTube are, like, naturally good people. Like,
Yeah,
let's be
literally.
real. Let's be fucking real.
Literally.
I'm sure there are some great people, but, like, it just probably does not attract the right people.
Yeah. No, for real. Especially, like, the bigger ones. Like, I don't know. What do you really expect from someone like Jeffree Star? Like, of course
Yeah.
he's an egotistical maniac. Like, and yeah, he probably does do, like, bad shit all the time. Like, he's a giant makeup creator on YouTube that, like, is famous for looking batshit crazy.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing, is that, like, when people idolize people like that, I'm like, what did you expect? Like, they're not going out of their way to, like, be Snoop Dogg and create fucking child affirmation songs. Like,
Yeah.
they're literally just fucking creators on YouTube. Like, it's not that fucking serious.
I love that you used Snoop Dogg as an example when he literally was, like, a member of the Crips.
And he's not anymore, is he?
No, now he's just, like, friends with Martha Stewart.
Exactly.
But I know what you're saying. Like, of course,
Snoop Dogg is always the role model.
literally. And, like, for real. But, you
Snoop
know,
be on
to
the
be
pod.
fair, yeah, for real. You know, a lot of these communities do attract, like, younger fans. Like, you know, as the older you get, you kind of morph into your own makeup style. Unless
Absolutely.
you're, like, really into makeup, you're probably not watching these channels. Like, I remember watching beauty videos when I was younger, but it was more like to actually learn how to do makeup and learn techniques
Yeah.
and stuff, because I didn't know how to do any of that. And now, like, I've come to terms with, like, what my style is and what I like, and so I don't really need to watch those videos.
Absolutely.
And so, of course, like, that audience does tend to be younger, and it is, I guess, like, kind of your first wake-up call into, like, the real world, is that, like, most of these celebrities are, like, bad people and or dumb.
Right.
But at the
Usually
same
at
time,
least dumb.
if you're, like, watching people like Shane Dawson or, like, Jeffree Star or, like, any of these people, like, I'm sorry, like, what do you actually expect from them? Like, they literally just, like, put, like, their horribleness out on the internet constantly.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think was gonna happen?
And then people are, like, shook when something bad happens.
Yeah, and, like, when, like, the truth comes out, and it's, like,
The
he
truth has
posted
been
that-
out.
Like, this is, like, my thing, is that, like, there were certain things, particularly when it comes to, like, Shane Dawson, like, there were things he posted on his own fucking channel, and then people were like, oh my god, these old videos, and it's like, he posted this on his own fucking channel, he wasn't fucking hiding it.
Right. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like, girl, what? I don't understand, like, why everyone's surprised.
No. And I think it is, like, layered and, I guess, complicated, because, like, early YouTube was certainly different than it is now.
True.
And a lot of, I mean, early, like, entertainment
Yes.
was a lot different. And a lot of more things, like, were able to slide than they do now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it becomes a little bit complicated, because it's like, well, where did they actually mean anything by this, and where was it kind of just more of a sign of the times?
Yeah.
You know? Which doesn't, like, necessarily make it a good thing. However, like, I don't think that anyone who, like, I don't think everyone who posted that kind of content, like, meant anything by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just part of, like, the culture, which, again, isn't good, but, like, that's why things change, and that's why people change and people learn.
Yeah, I do think that people can, like, learn and grow. I also think that, like, at the same time, like, people posting that kind of content, like, that's what, like, their worldview is. And so it's kind of like you have to take all that stuff with a grain of salt. But it's also, like, that is, like, you know, the world that we have been living in. And it's also, like, just not that serious. Like, these are people on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I know there's a lot of more stuff with, like, Shane Dawson, but, like, his old characters and stuff, like, it was just fucking stereotypes. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't like he was sitting there being like, black people are awful. Like, it was just a character.
Yeah.
Like, some of it's just, it's not that fucking serious. And, like, you grow up and you move on. Like, there's dumb shit that I said when I was younger.
And also, again, like you were saying, like, it really was the times to, like, be, like, making fun of, like, stereotypes in a way where it was, like, definitely problematic, but also you were making fun of the fact that stereotypes existed.
Right.
So it was like this weird time period where like people were really transitioning from like being like outwardly racist to like now I think it's swung the complete other direction.
Yeah.
And you have like a culture of like hyper PC mentality.
Yes.
But in the early like 2010s era, it was kind of this weird mix of both, where you had like some PC stuff and then some more like raunchy stuff, and like there definitely were still people who were like homophobic and racist and sexist and
Always
whatever.
will be.
True. But there was a lot more sentiment around like making fun of that stuff and like being raunchy to express like how you like detested that kind of stuff, but
Yes.
like taking it into like a weird problematic way. And that wasn't uncommon back then. Like, it wasn't necessarily something that didn't happen. It was just kind of like the culture.
Yeah. And that's where cancel culture is really fucking annoying and stupid. Because, like, at the root of it, there is a lot of, like, good to, like, I guess just, like, public humiliation for people who...
Public shaming.
Yeah. Who, for people who, you know, maybe they didn't break a law per se, but they're like, they did something fucked up. And like, yeah, like, you know, sometimes you do have to slap people on the wrist to at least like let them know.
To wake up. Yeah.
Right. But like, there are other times when I don't, like, especially when it comes to comedy and stuff like that, there is a fine line between making fun of people to like bring them down and making fun of people to like bring light to topics.
Yes, I agree. And like, I personally am such a fan of dark humor.
Yeah.
I do think that there are times where people take it way too far, but I also think that like dark humor and dark comedy can be really helpful in progressing like the viewpoints of people, because like it's undermining the exact thing that you're trying to like get at, instead of directly saying like, hey, you know, this is a problem and like this isn't really cool for you to do that. It's a lot easier to deliver that message in a comedic way by like pointing out the ridiculousness of it.
Yes.
I do understand that like that's not for everyone, and that's fine, but then you don't have to like listen to it or like care about those people.
Yes.
You
That's
know?
like part of the problem, is that like everyone thinks that every single thing is meant for them, and there's a lot of entitlement that comes to like, especially like modern day social media usage, where like a single tweet that's meant to be like a joke for a certain fan base, let's say, like someone else comes across it and they're like, I'm offended by this. But it's like, that's just because you don't fucking get the joke.
Yeah.
And it's not meant for you. And like, that's when it becomes a problem, because like now everyone is mad at everything, and like nothing can be like nothing can just be anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. Nothing can just be like normal. Like every time you see any post like anywhere, every single comment is some like fight.
Oh my
And people
God.
getting like up in arms over everything, and it's like, this could just be like a funny video. Like, it's really not that serious, and you can just scroll on if you don't like it.
Seriously.
And there's ways of like literally putting like not interested. Like, you can make it like not interested. You don't have to make your point known. Like, no one really cares.
And like block certain topics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, people.
For real. And like, also, again, like you had said, like, not everything is for everyone. Like, I truly think that like, this is something I've been thinking about recently, because I saw like something about like people commenting on like people's bodies or whatever, and like the whole like thing with like bodies in terms of like, you know, like fat acceptance and like body positivity, stuff like that. Yeah, we won't get into that, but like, just like leave people alone. Like, literally, that's my opinion. Just leave people alone. But what I was thinking about was that like, I often feel like, I think some women are like this, but a lot of like men tend to really believe that like all women should be attractive for them. And it's like, why can't you just accept that you have a type? Like, everyone has a type. Like,
absolutely, you have preferences. That's totally fine.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But, like, that doesn't mean that everyone has to fit that type. Like, I don't need every single person to be attractive to me.
Yes.
Actually, I would hate that. It would just be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Instead, like, there's going to be certain people who are attractive to you, and then you just go after those people. And it's the exact same thing with, like, shows or movies or content creators or whatever. Like, you can just pick and choose the ones that you like and unfollow or hide the rest of them. Like, you don't have to interact with these people if you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's not that serious.
That's, again, where that, like, entitlement comes in.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you are not entitled to how other people live their lives. Mm-hmm. Like, a common example would be, like, women shaving or not. Mm-hmm. And it's like, listen, if you are attracted to shaved legs and shaved armpits and elsewhere,
yeah,
that's fine. Then, like, find someone who is also into shaving.
Yeah.
But, like, someone having body hair is not inherently disgusting, and just because you don't find it aesthetically pleasing does not mean that they have to change their way of life to please this random fucking person that they probably don't even know.
Right, exactly. Like, that's not my issue.
Like, who the fuck are you?
Exactly.
Like, especially when it's random people commenting on the internet. I'm like, again, who the fuck are you to tell someone else how to look and how to dress and how to act?
Exactly.
That's so weird.
It's weird. It's not your business.
It's literally not.
And there's plenty of people on this planet, like, go find them.
Exactly. And, like, I noticed especially, okay, so there was this one creator, I don't know, if I can, like, find his video, I'll tag it somewhere, because it actually was interesting. But basically, he does calisthenics, which, if you don't know, it's, like, body weight workouts. You can, like, look it up. Some of it gets pretty crazy. But, so basically, of course, like, when you're bodybuilding, a lot of the purpose is to build muscle and build a, like, larger frame. Mm-hmm. With calisthenics, it's less about, like, the aesthetics of it and more about, like, what your body can do. Mm. And there was this, like, creator who had made this video where I think he was, like, responding to a comment from another video that he made where someone was like, I've been working out for 3 months and I already have bigger muscles than you. And he was like, but my point is not to build my muscles. My point is to be able to do certain movements. And if I'm able to do those movements, then that means that my muscles look exactly how they should look for me to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And, like, that's perfect. Yeah. I loved again, I am just, like, not quoting it perfectly, but, like, the concept of that is exactly what we're trying to get at, where it's like,
yeah,
you can build your body and your muscles if you want to, but someone else doesn't have to. And, like, they can use their body for the purpose that they want to use it for.
Yeah.
And, like, that's that.
It's literally none of your business.
And it's not that fucking serious.
Outside of, like, literally harming other people, or, like, of course, if you're close to someone and you do see that they are harming themselves, whether it be with, for example, like, an eating disorder, or if they're, like, physically harming themselves or something like that, like, that is something that you should be concerned about, and, like, that's not what we're talking about, obviously. Of course, like, you should be there to, like, not only support them, but also to, you know, raise awareness and say, like, hey, like, this is not good for you, like, you're hurting yourself. Or if you see someone hurting someone else, right,
like obviously
that is a big problem, right? Like, it's the same thing with, like, calling out, like, famous people for, like, the Me Too movement or something like that. Like,
right.
Yes, it is a huge problem that there's a ton of people in the industry who are harming, like, not even a certain group. They're literally just harming everyone for no reason, just to, like, maintain power for whatever weird,
like, what even power they even fucking have.
Yeah, some weird psychopathic reason that they have. But that is a good thing to call those people out. But, like, to call out, like, people who, like, I don't know, made, like, a weird tweet 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That's weird. To call out people for, like, the way that their body looks just because you don't personally like it, like, that's weird.
Which, not to cut you off, but, like, to exactly your point, even in the bodybuilding community, so many of them use fucking steroids.
Yeah.
That, like, why would I idolize someone who is harming themselves? Mm-hmm. And, like, why can't I just let my body do what it does naturally? And, like, everyone's genetics is different. Like, some people only can grow up to a certain point, and that's totally fine. Some people don't even want to grow. And it's, like, exactly what you're saying. Like, everyone's different. Like, who the fuck cares? Why is it your problem?
It's just not, it's not your business. And it's the same thing, like, if there's a content creator or a band or a comedian or a TV show or something, again, unless it's, like, incredibly harmful, there's, like, if you don't like it, just turn it off. You do not have to consume it. It's not that serious.
Yes, absolutely. And, like, another topic that we were talking about, which... Again, I know there's, like, whatever, different layers to this, too, but, like, Doja Cat. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't really been following along with, like, the recent drama, but, like, the whole thing recently of her, like, saying that she hates her fans, and, like, everyone always comments on her videos, like, oh, like, don't you hate your fans? Like, why is anyone still listening? Blah, 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 blah. But, like... If I was Doja Cat and I had the same fucking people coming at me, I would also hate my fans.
Her fans seem really annoying.
Her fans suck.
Yeah.
And, like, the only people who are actually decent are the ones who, like us, who just listen to her, and are not her actual fucking, like, fan base who make the fan accounts and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many videos, especially about her body, being like, I miss the old Doja when she was, like, thicker. And it's like, people used to call her fat.
Yeah.
And now that she has lost weight, you have a problem? Like, who the fuck are you to be deciding how she looks?
Yeah.
And, like, that's where she gets mad, where people say shit like that.
I also think people forget, specifically talking about Doja Cat, that she literally started as, like, a shit poster on the internet and now has, like...
And she's still a shit poster.
Yeah, but now she has, like, global fame, and that's,
Yeah.
like, a really big thing to, like, cope with.
Yes.
I recently read Jeanette McCurdy's book, and, like, that's something... First of all, a very beautiful but, like, very heartbreaking book. But that is something that she talks about a lot, is, like, how much she hated fame because people feel entitled to her. They feel entitled to her time. They feel entitled to her image. They feel entitled to, like, even her body, like, touching her and stuff. And I've seen that from other artists as well. Like, I read a whole interview with Mitski, and she was talking about how, like, her fans literally touch her, and she, like, starts crying.
So weird.
Yeah, she was, like, talking about how she had, like, a mental breakdown because, like, people were touching her. Like, stop touching people without their fucking permission. That's so fucking weird. Unless they, like, jump into the crowd, like, don't fucking touch them.
Right. And it's funny because, like, I mean, I honestly don't listen to Mitski, but, like, the fans that I've seen are also, like, they seem to be those kind of people who would repost, like, storyboards of, like, this is what consent is, but then would also be the person to, like, grab her if, like, they decided that that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah. And it's just like, girl, like, get a fucking grip.
It's just, especially in this day and age, you'd think, because I feel like old Hollywood maybe is a little bit different, where it was obviously a lot harder to get famous, and, like, fame was just different back then.
Yeah.
But now, like, that anyone can basically be famous, it, like, honestly makes me laugh that people still idolize celebrities.
Especially
in
now,
that degree.
where, like, everyone's so into, like, authenticity and, like,
Bullshit.
accountability and stuff like that, and
Absolute bullshit.
relatability. And, like, you see so many people, like, striving to be quote-unquote relatable. This is something that, one creator that I actually really enjoy, Lily Chapman on TikTok, she talks about this a lot, where, like, people oftentimes, like, come at her, like, trying to get her to be, like, more, like, authentic. And she's like, I don't know how much more authentic I can fucking be. I literally just share, like, weird videos in my life. And, like, there's... like, what do you want from me?
And also, like, why does, like, everyone have to be?
Yeah, like, the internet's supposed to be, like, fun and, like, performative. Yeah. Like, that's what I always, like, have used it for, is just to be, like, my most fun self. Like, maybe it's not the most authentic, but I wouldn't necessarily say, like, I, like, lie on the internet either. And it's the same thing with, like, a lot of the creators I listen to and like, they don't, like, lie on the internet, but they're obviously showing a curated version of their life. Like, why do you want authenticity from these people? Like, what, like, why do you, like, demand it?
And I think...
just, like, demand it from people.
Right.
It's weird.
And I think it's different where, for example, like, there are fitness influencers who will, like, go out of their way to be like, yeah, like, I worked so hard for my body, and, like, this is how I look, and, like, I'm being honest, and blah, 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 but then they will, like, Photoshop their pictures. And, like, I think if you're, like, saying you're being authentic, and then, like, you're not actually being, like, that's a valid reason to be upset with someone.
Yeah.
However, like, if someone is, like, face-tuning their picture, and it's, like, fucking Tana Mojo or something like that, like, when the fuck has Tana Mojo, like, ever tried to be like, this is my natural face? Like, no, like you can't expect that from someone like that.
Yeah, it's
like you
very
can't
similar.
be mad at them.
It's similar to like people being mad that like the Kardashians won't admit that they like get body surgery, and
like that's their whole thing.
To some degree I kind of understand it, because it's like, just, you know, fucking
just
admit it, like it's not that serious. But
and it's kind of obvious, like, let's be real.
Yeah, I also do kind of understand it, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, of course they, like, have plastic surgery and, like, body modifications and stuff like that. Like,
they're rich and under the pressure of, like, they're, like, one of the most famous people in the fucking world.
Yeah, and that's also, like, kind of, like, the whole point. And even if you, I mean, the majority of celebrities, if not almost all of them, have, like, gotten some sort of body modification. Like, it's so fascinating to me when people, like, post all these weird things of, like, wow, like, blah and blah looks so good at age 50, and it's like, yeah, because, like, they got Botox and, like, have really expensive skincare, and, like, also have a personal trainer, and, like, eat really healthy food, because, like, they have to maintain a certain image.
Yeah.
And it's so weird to me that people are, like, always up everyone's ass about, like, how they look and, like, what they're doing and, like, what their content is, and it's like, just don't follow it if you don't like it. Like, why are you demanding so much from people when you're, like, putting out nothing into the world?
No, literally. Well, that's the thing, is that it's always the people that, like, drain the energy out of everyone else.
It's the people who post fucking, like, Roblox videos.
Oh my god. But, like, for real. You know. But for real. And it's like, I'm sorry, but, like, I know that you're just fucking, like, sitting in your basement eating, like, hot chips while typing this.
Yeah.
And listen, that's totally fine if that's what you want to do, but don't act like you're fucking superior.
For real. Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Ugh. We're
We're disgusted.
We're disgusted, and everyone needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, except for us. Because we're always right and important.
Yes, and we're the main character.
We are the main characters.
And so with that, we say...
Bye!
Thank you for listening to Bell on Earth, the podcast. We hope that your minds have been expanded and your pussies have been opened.
Be sure to rate and follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
This podcast is brought to you by Free Studio Productions. It's hosted and produced by Cassidy and Casey Bell. Big thanks to our executive producer, Derek Benton.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for all of your content needs. See you later, haters.